Okay, what you're looking at are the sun deck panels, as I call them, that I designed and built for my boat. Basically, these are just modular panels that I can insert to fill in the leg well space and create a sleeping or sunbathing platform on the forward half of the cockpit. This is great in my Core Sound 20. I definitely recommend this as a good solution for any kind of open cockpit day sailor like this one. I built them initially because I have kids, and so when they're aboard, if the boat's heeling, I didn't want them to fall down into the leg wells and get hurt. So this just creates a wider, stabler platform for them to sleep or play or whatever. And from the front bulkhead all the way to the aft edge here is 6 foot 6 inches long, so it can accommodate a very tall adult too if you're camp cruising. On the other side, it's 6 feet to the rear edge of the port side panel. So again, generous sleeping area for two adults or a family with a couple of kids even. There's quite a bit of space here, and it's about 6.5 feet wide across too. So the question I get asked most often is, why did I build them this way? It's more conventional to make floorboards that fill in the whole leg well and then can be lifted to create a complete seat. It's intentional that I didn't do it that way. One is I didn't really want floorboards. I like to be able to sweep the bilge water back to my Anderson baler here, and I use a little kind of shower squeegee for that purpose, and so floorboards would be in the way. But also, you know, if I'm just having a kid who's taking a nap or something, I can take a couple of these panels out and leave the rest of the space for passengers to sit up normally and put their legs down comfortably. So it just gives you more options. Also, there's a little bit of flexibility to how these panels work. So this port side panel, when it's not in use, actually comes back here to the rear of the cockpit and stows in place here, where it serves as a bench seat. So it has a lip on each side, on all four sides actually, so that it can be turned either way to fill in the front or to fill in the back. And underneath, I put a little hook on a bungee that goes down to a little eyelet in the keel so that it holds this front edge down really tightly. This panel isn't going anywhere. And that's so that I can just leave it there all the time if I'm not using it and not have to worry about it flopping around when I trailer the boat or something like that. Even at highway speeds, that panel doesn't budge. On the starboard side, besides being able to take panels out to accommodate room, each panel has a purpose, except this one. This one's just a panel to fill in, and I'll show you the construction details. It's 1x2, used as framing members, a top made out of 1/4 inch thick Akume plywood, and then the lips to grab the tops of the seats are made out of aluminum angle stock, 1 inch by 1 inch by 1/8 inch thick. And the fasteners are pretty much the same. They're about 3 inches on center. The first, the third, and the fifth one on each side are screws that go deep into the framing members, and the second and fourth are through bolted, and so I did it that same way on both sides. I leave the bottoms unpainted, but obviously epoxy coated, so that if I ever want to bond something to the underside I can, and also so I can just sort of observe them for maintenance reasons, make sure no rot is starting. And then I painted the tops so that they match the boat and look nice. All three of these panels stack under the forward deck when not in use to get them out of the way. These two have additional uses. So this one you'll see, for instance, has a tapered foot on one side. That's so that I can turn it, lay it down against the keel batten here, and it now makes a perfectly level seat that takes out the dead rise of the floor. You can put like a camp chair on top of there and recline it, and that's one of the coziest spots to sit and read a book on the boat. You don't have to worry about the sprit swinging back and forth overhead or the mainsail. You're low enough that you're blocked from wind and spray, and it's just a very comfortable spot for an adult to sit, or a child. The other one is my nav station, and that's why you see a couple holes drilled in the lip. This one's a little more elaborate. I wanted a good way to be able to chart my progress in unfamiliar waters. I have a GPS in the boat, obviously, but you should always back that up with paper charts when you're somewhere that you're not normally acquainted with. On the bottom side of this, I built a secondary frame, again out of aluminum angle iron, although this is 1/16 thick because it didn't need to be nearly as strong. It's just a frame to hold a slide-out plywood insert. And so you pull out this insert, if I can do it one-handed, and you find some things inside. One is this clear sheet of vinyl. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's a clear sheet of vinyl there. Then a perfectly sized little kind of plastic container that holds some plotting tools, some paper flags if I need to mark something, an eraser, there's a pencil in there, there's several different colors of wet erase markers like you would use on an overhead projector, and then a pair of dividers I kind of rigged up. And then these little press fit clips made out of mahogany and the heads of bolts. I'll show you how those work in a second. The bolts are glued in there or epoxied in there. And then on the other side I have a Portland plotter, or what Weems and Plath calls their Weems protractor. This is an awesome, simple way to chart your progress. This is my favorite way to determine headings and so forth. I highly recommend it. You should check it out online. They're very cool. And then any maps. And so I just have one map in here right now of the Beaufort, South Carolina area. When you've got what you want out of there, you can put this panel insert back in order to keep everything in place or whatever. But when you want to use it, you flip it over and you lay out your map. All right, so here's the town of Beaufort right here. So we'll put the map down, then we put the vinyl cover down, this little piece of vinyl, and then we put these little press fit holders in. Okay, they have a little rabbited edge that's just deep enough to ride on the vinyl right here to hold it down. And the purpose of those is just to keep that vinyl down so that the map can't fly away no matter how windy it is. So it holds it down nice and tight. But the other reason that vinyl is there is because then you can chart your progress with these wet erase markers. So you can kind of mark where you put in, let's say right here, let's say sail up and over across the bridge, and you change your heading again, then you change your heading again, sail down, whatever. You can plot your course, you can write in, times and headings, whatever you want to keep track of. Since it's wet erase, it tends to dry on there pretty securely, but when you're done with it, sometimes even with a totally dry towel, certainly with a little bit of dampness on it, you can wipe it away and reuse it. So it's a great way if you make mistakes or something, you can clear it off. This has been very, very useful for plotting a course. And of course you can, lay your protractor on there to do all the normal plotting things you would do. If one of these press fittings gets in the way of the protractor, you can pull one side out and draw up your course. But it holds a pretty large side, about 2 folds of the map. And then when I sail off the map, I just flip it over or change to wherever I'm currently at and keep following my course. So it's a nice little nav station for a boat this size. Just a nice backup to the GPS and reassurance if your electronics would fail that you could still navigate and not have to worry about your map blowing away or not having access to tools. This is kept aboard the boat, so I know it's always with me, and I try to keep maps in there of any place I think I'm likely to be going in the near future, and then I have them. So there it is, the drop-in sun deck panels that are multifunctional and can kind of be moved around the boat for whatever reason. These also make great little lap tables, so if you're having lunch or something, you put one in like that, and one person can sit up front and the other person can sit behind it, and you have a nice little table for having a meal. So try it out. I think you'd like it on your boat. I definitely like it on mine. I think I get a lot more use out of these than I would if I just had lifting floorboards for camping purposes. And that's it. Hope you enjoyed.